The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, the WBC franchise belt has struck once again. This time it strikes again in the super flyweight division. Now, I know a lot of people are upset about what happened. If you don't know what happened, let me be the first to let you know. I mean, I'm sure you guys have if you're watching. Estrada, Juan Francisco Estrada, he's been named the WBC franchise champion. All right, and now they're gonna do the WBC is doing a four-man super flyweight tournament, which will consist of a rematch or a third fight between Chocolatito and Estrada, and Juan will be taking on Carlos Cuadras in a rematch in the intermediate time. Now, this comes as bad news, very bad news for Juan because Juan has been waiting a long time for the third Estrada fight. Objectively speaking, he should be getting it next. I know, and trust me, I should be about as biased as anybody because I was actually at the damn fight between Gallo and Chocolatito rematch. It was the best fight I've ever gone to in person. You know, a third fight is clearly the fight that's the most in demand at the moment. But the right thing would have been for Juan to get his fight. But the thing is, see, this is why I'm not really that upset with the franchise thing being called right now at this juncture, because normally when a franchise gets belt is handed to a fighter like a Teofimo Lopez or a Canelo Alvarez or other fighters, it normally would muddy up the waters and just cause a bunch of confusion throughout the division, and we would never ever have a snowball's chance of hell of seeing those fights. But in this weight class, this is the free smoke weight class. This weight class shouldn't even be called super flyweight. It should just be called free smoke because everybody in this weight class wants that smoke. And I do believe Estrada will eventually fight Rambasai. But the reality is this: boxing is a business. The WBC definitely treats it as such, which is why they have the franchise belt, because the franchise belt pretty much allows the WBC to break its own rules. It's a fancy way of the WBC being able to break its own rules because of the fact that really, Estrada is due a mandatory next defense, and that mandatory is Rambasai. Rambasai has been the mandatory for like over a year. But the best way to get around that is to create a belt that fighters can request, that you can arbitrarily give or not give the fighter, and that said fighter will be awarded the belt, and he will not have to make a mandatory defense. He'll make the mandatory defense at his best convenience. That's where we're at. But the WBC has always broken its own rules. It's been that way for years. I would like for it to change, but I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. But yeah, basically, when Estrada requested the belt, when Eddie Hearn and all parties involved and Zenith for Boxing requested the belt, not only did he get approved, he got unanimously approved. So there's a difference between being approved and unanimously approved. That means everybody that had a say so in this whole process agreed that he should be the franchise champion. And make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Now, getting back to Rambasai, in the intermediate time, he's gonna have to fight Carlos Cuadras. And you know what? That's not a bad fight. That really isn't a bad fight because in 2014 he had that fight where the fight was stopped. I think it was on head clashes, and he lost via technical decision. So this is a chance for him to get back some avenge a loss in his record, and even build up some more hype for whoever wins the Chocolatito Estrada fight. Now, I think this is one of the few times where the WBC's trash ways and their ways of manipulating their own rules, I think it's actually going to work out for the fighters in the long haul, because normally, like I said, because of the franchise belt, it delays fights, but because you fight in a weight class where there's not as much money available, there's not as much attention, these guys have to be in the biggest fight to get any sort of notoriety. So with that being said, this is going to allow people to see a fight that they really want to see in those two right there in the third fight in the trilogy. And whoever wins that fight can fight the winner of Cuadras versus Rambasai. And then what winds up happening is whoever comes out of that little pack, that winds up being the biggest fight in the division. Now, we have to consider all scenarios. We could get a Chocolatito versus Rambasai 3, which is what I really want, because I think Chocolatito can beat Rambasai. I think he's still good, he's still strong, but I think he's slowing down a little bit. And Chocolatito's made some little adjustments that I think will definitely make him more of a fighter that can beat Rumbleside in the third fight. So that's the fight I really want to see. But then you have obviously Gaio versus Gaio versus Quadras 3 or 2. No, 3. Both would be 3. Gaio versus Rumbleside 3. Gaio versus Quadras 3. Gaio versus Rumbleside 3 is a good fight. Wouldn't mind seeing it. Gaio versus Quadras 3. I don't really want to see it. I mean, there are good fights, but I think that score has definitely been settled in the last fight. And you know, an interesting one, which is highly unlikely, but we could get maybe a Chocolatito versus Quadras rematch. And how many times have we heard over the years that, you know, Chocolatito got a gift and Quadras was robbed, and, you know, they wanted to count all the pity pat shoe shine punches that he was throwing. So it's okay. It's okay. But either way you slice it, I think it's great for the super flyweight division that this is happening, because it means we're definitely going to get some marquee matchups within the coming days, weeks, and months. Now, it is worth also noting that the odd men left out are fighters like Kazuda Ioka, Joan Cajas, Donnie Nietes. These are the three fighters that, you know, as good as they are, they just can't seem to get those fights that are gonna get them over the line. So hopefully, at some point we can see one of these four kings mix it up with one of those guys, because I would like to see one of those guys get a crack at the quote unquote four kings of the super flyweight division, which would be Chocolatito, Estrada, Rumbleside, and Quadras. But that's the news. You know, the WBC has given Gaio Estrada that Teofimo Lopez treatment, that Canelo Alvarez treatment. They have made Gaio Estrada the franchise champion, which will prevent Gaio Estrada from having to fight his mandatory defense against Rungvisai. Rungvisai will fight Quadras in the immediate time, and people will get the most in-demand fight at 115 right now, which is Chocolatito versus Estrada 3. You know, this is one of the greatest trilogies boxing's produced in quite some time. And I'm glad that they're going to go through the third fight. You know, Chocolatito won the first fight, and I thought he won the second fight even more convincingly. They took it from him. So hopefully in the third fight, we can get a more definitive outcome. I hope Chocolatito can stop Estrada, but if Estrada stops Chocolatito, then he's earned it, man. He's a hell of a fighter. But that's the news. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Daniels. Until next time, take care, guys.